In this video tutorial, I'll be showing you how to edit a basic movie or TV show trailer. And it can be done with footage that you've shot yourself or stock footage that you found online, also using music and sound effects that you found online that are free to use and royalty free. So to get started, I'll show you the trailer that I've edited as an example. So there you go, we've got a trailer that starts out nice and happy-go-lucky and then ends with a little bit of extra horror going on and then a bit of happiness at the end just to cross the feelings over. So what we've got is I've got my footage folder, some music and sound effects. So all of my files are prepared earlier and I have different shots here. You can see that I have the Beatles shot and I have the shot here of the sniper and a shot of the couple at the campsite and setting up the tent. So these are all the shots that we'll use. So you'll either be using stock footage that you found or you'll be going out and filming this all yourself. So the first step is to open up Premiere. Here is the home screen in Premiere and we have two options here, New Project or Open a Project. We're going to start a new project, so click the New Project button. And here we're going to type in the name of our project. I'm going to call this Movie Trailer. And we're going to use this drop down here to tell Premiere where to save our project. So don't automatically hit create until you've double checked this. We're going to go choose location. So with Premiere, I recommend saving your Premiere file in with all of your assets. Keep them enclosed in one main master folder. And this means if you need to move the project to another computer or if you need to make some changes, Premiere won't lose the location of all of the pieces that's in your edit. So I'll choose. We've chosen the location of our project, so now click Create to start editing in Premiere. This is the Premiere interface, and you can see that if I click in all of these windows, they'll get a blue border around them. This is the way that Premiere shows you which window is kind of active, and if you use your keyboard, you'll be making some changes in whichever window has the blue border around it. So if at any moment it's not working how you think it is, make sure that you've clicked in the correct window to make your changes. You can also adjust your layout by moving your mouse in between these boxes and clicking and dragging. So this is a way that you can tailor your window to suit the style that you want. If at any point you make some changes and you don't know how to get back and you've lost a window, you can go up to the top menu and click Window, Workspaces, Reset to Saved Layout. You also may click the buttons up the top, which will change the layouts based on different features within Premiere. So again, if your layout looks weird, make sure you've clicked back up on the respective one. We're going to be using editing. So the first step is to import some media. So go up to File, Import. Here's my main folder with all of my assets, sound effects, music, and footage. I'm going to import the footage. So I'll click Import. And when you import a folder, it imports the folder as a folder here in your project file. You can click the drop-down arrow and see all of your files. Let's also import our music and our sound effects. Click on one folder, and to select multiple folders, hold Command on Mac or Control on PC and click on the next folder, and it will multi-select. Click Import. And if for some reason your folder hasn't appeared here in your Project tab, that means you might have been selecting the footage folder and importing within that folder. So you'll just have to undo that step or move your folders out to this main location. So we have our music and we have our sound effects and footage, so we're good to go. Let's work on our first clip. So the file we're looking for is with the car driving down the road. So I have car driving down the mountain road here. You can see the file name here, and when you click on it, you get a small preview. If you don't like this list view, down the bottom left, you can change the view by going to Icon or to List. So if I click on Icon, I can now double click on the footage folder, and I can see all of my files here. So this might be your preference. Car driving on mountain road. To activate this clip, double click on it, and you'll see here that your clip opens up in the preview monitor. This preview monitor is where you can go through your clip and preview what it looks like and choose the spot where you'd like to in and out your cuts to bring it down into your edit. So if I move my blue playhead back and forth, you can click anywhere to reset where your blue playhead is, move it to the beginning, and you can hit the play button. To play files, you can also use the spacebar, and this can be much easier because you can use your left hand on the keyboard and keep your right hand on your mouse. Makes your editing much more intuitive. So I'll click the spacebar, and I'll click the spacebar again. So it can be very precise. You can also rewind and fast forward. Rewind is by clicking the J key. You can hit the K key to pause, and then the L key to go fast forward. Multiple times will speed it up. So J, K, and L is an easy way to use your left hand to navigate through your clip. So the first way to import a clip into your edit is to just click and hold on the clip itself, drag down to your timeline and release. And Premiere will automatically make a sequence for you. You can see here that our clip has been added, and there's multiple tracks here, V1, V2, V3. These are all video tracks. A1, A2, A3, that's audio tracks. So anytime you bring a clip in, it will usually have video and audio. Since this file doesn't have audio, you'll notice that the audio doesn't have a waveform in there. There's no actual audio there, but there is a blank audio track. Using your arrow tool, this is your selection tool. You can click and drag, move your clip up and down in the tracks, and also move your blue playhead to the start, and again, hit your spacebar or hit the play button here to begin. You'll notice when it comes to the end of the clip, it will go black. That signifies there's no more footage there. Now this clip is too long. It's 7 seconds long. I'm thinking I'd like it to be about 4 or 5 seconds. So I'll find a spot where I like. Maybe about here is the starting point. So I want to cut off this front end. To do that, use your razor blade tool over here, and that's C for the keyboard shortcut. Click once on the razor, move your mouse over. You'll notice that there's a red line through the razor icon. Move your mouse down until the razor turns into a white razor. That means you're able to click and cut the clip. Click once, and you'll notice now that we have 2 clips. Go back to your selection move tool, and you'll be able to select different clips and move them apart from each other. Click on the first one and hit delete on your keyboard. Now the clip will begin right where I made that cut. So 4 seconds is about how long I'd like this to be. So about there will be good. I'll make another cut. That's a good amount of length. You can also undo any steps within Premiere by going up to your top menu and clicking Edit, Undo. Or you can go Command Z on Mac or Control Z on PC. And you can step multiple times backwards. To go forwards, it's Command Shift Z on Mac and Control Shift Z on PC. So I'll take it back to here where I still want to make this cut. There's a second quicker way to make a cut. To do that, select your clip, and this is using your selection move tool, and then on Mac, hit Command K, and on PC, Control K. And that's a shortcut for cutting your clip. So this saves you having to go to your razor blade. You can in fact keep your arrow tool selected and make cuts along the way. So I have my first clip there. It's time to get the second clip. I'm looking for Forest Road. I'll double click and bring my clip up here. Now this clip is 9 seconds long, so it's a bit long as well. I'm going to be looking for a similar amount of time, 3 to 4 seconds. So I'll find a spot where I like. I'll let that log go out of the way and I'll start about there. And now instead of bringing this clip down onto the timeline and using the razor blade to cut the top and the tail, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set in and out points. Move your blue playhead to the spot where you'd like to begin and push the I key on your keyboard. You'll notice that you get this gray area. This is the gray selected area, so Premiere now is going to ignore this footage at the beginning and only focus on this grayed out area. I'm going to hit play and count for about 3 or 4 seconds. And stop there. And now I'll push the O for out key on my keyboard. So we've set our in point and we've set our out point. Now when we click and hold and drag our clip down to the timeline and release, you'll notice that our clip is only 3 and a bit seconds long. So what that's done is that's actually made it a much quicker way to import a clip and cut off the top and the tail. So you have different options there of using the razor blade or using your in and out points up in the preview monitor. You can see here now that I have two clips. I can click and move and swap their order. And you'll also notice that Premiere snaps the clips together when I move them near each other's ends. So you can rearrange your clips very easily. If you want to select multiple clips, you can hold Shift key and click on multiple clips. Or you can click and drag, and any clips that fall in this bounding box will be selected. So this is really helpful if you have 20 or 30 clips and you want to move them all together and you don't want to have to move them individually. This can be multiple selection. Then to reset your selection, just click anywhere in this dark gray area. Zooming in Premiere is by using the plus and minus keys. And you can also hold the Alt key and scroll with your mouse wheel. When you zoom in, you have sliders down the bottom that allow you to slide through your edit. And you also have sliders here on the right if you have multiple tracks. Wherever you put the blue playhead is where your zooming in and out will stay focused. So if you want to find a specific spot, put your blue playhead and zooming in and out will keep your view right on that spot. It's a good time to save. Click File and Save, and your project is saved. I'll grab my third shot, and this will be the shot of the car driving through the leafy road. This one here, double click, and I'm going to choose my in and out points. I'll start the car about here, push my I key, push play, about there, and click O for out. And then I can drag this clip down. You'll notice that we're getting the audio and video of each clip. If I hit undo, there's a way to bring the clip down, either just the audio or just the video. Instead of clicking in this middle area and dragging to your timeline, instead you can click this button, drag video only, or this one, drag audio only. So if I click and drag video, you'll notice it only brings the video file. If I click and drag audio, I can't place this on the video tracks. I have to move my mouse further down onto the audio tracks. So you'll see here we have the video track and the audio track. So this is important if you just want to grab the audio of a file or the video, you can split them up by using these drag buttons. I'm going to delete the audio here, move this clip up next to the second clip, and if you have audio with one of your clips and you don't want the audio to be there anymore, you can just select the clip by clicking on it once, then right click, choose Unlink, and now you'll notice that you can separate these clips from each other, and you're free to delete. So we have our 3 clips here, and as always with video editing, it's good to rewind it and push play and see how it looks. So I think I prefer the leafy road car to be the second shot. So I'll click and move these, drag to select both, move it up, and rewind. I like that. So I'll take a moment to go ahead and select all the rest of my clips and lay them out. This will be in fast forward. So here we are, we have my clips, driving along the road, the car on the leaf road, the forest, we have the couple walking, the couple setting up the tent, and then this is when things start to go a bit bad. So we've got happiness all the way up to here, and then we've got this weird little beetle sitting on the road there to indicate that something's not totally right. Then we have the shot of the hunter loading up the magazine, shot of the forest that's panning really slowly to give it a bit more of a creepy effect. And then we have the next shot of our hunter setting up his shot. And I'll find the spot about here. Rewind and put my in point and then bring the sniper down. So I've got the 2 shots of the couple here, and then I have the shot of the beetle. I'm going to push play there and watch for the timing of them, see how I like it. Okay, so I think the beetle shot is a little bit too long. So I'm going to move these clips out of the way here, and I'll show you another way to shorten the clip. I'll zoom in, And now I could come in here and use my razor blade and cut off the end of this beetle clip. I'd like to shorten it to about here. But using your selection move tool, if you move your mouse to the end of a clip, you'll notice that you get this red bracket. And this means you can click and drag and shorten your clip, and you can also do that at the front. If you want to undo that, you can actually click and drag the clip out this way. And you'll notice up in the preview monitor up here, as I'm clicking and dragging, it's giving you a preview of where you are in the clip. So this is helpful to choose the exact spot that you like. Same with the forest shot, it's a little bit too long. So I'll zoom in and use my red bracket and bring that back in to about there. So video editing is very important in the sense that you'd like to play back and get an idea and sense of the flow of your video. Timing is very important, and you'll be surprised that you can actually make your individual shots quite quick and short and have the effect still be there. So let's save our file again. And at this point, I like to fill out the video project by putting in a background music file. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to get the feel of the video you're editing. So I'll go over to my project window here. I can click the Up folder button, find my music file, and now the icon view here isn't really helpful for these music files. So I'll change it back to List. And the file I'm looking for is Film Score Emotional. Again, I'll double click this, and it'll bring it up here. But what's different about audio is there is no video file. What we have here is the waveform. And this waveform gives you a visual cue of the volume and the impact of the song or the audio in your audio file. So again, with my blue playhead, I can click and move it anywhere within the file and push play. You can see that it's nice and quiet and mellow. It should get a bit louder here. We have some more vocals, and it'll probably be the loudest right here. So you can see how the song's broken up into segments. I like this quiet, mellow beginning part over here. I'm going to put my marker over here and zoom in. And I'm going to move my marker back here. I'd like to have this nice little bit of fade in. So right here, I'm going to push I for in and move it out to about here and push O for out. And you'll notice that only the drag audio button is highlighted. Let's click and drag. And you have to place this underneath your video files and release. And you'll see that we have our audio there. Let's push play. So you can see that there's a lot of time that happens before the piano starts to come in. So I'm going to edit that by zooming in, and I'm going to click and drag and move this back. So like using the red bracket before on our video clip, I can use the same thing on this audio clip. And I'll bring it to about here and then bring this back to the beginning. So you can see that music works really well with the beginning, with the mellow driving of the car. And then when we start to see some of the darker images with the hunter and the gun, we'd like the music to change there. So I'll zoom in and mark my spot where I'd like the music to change, right here where the beetle and the couple's tent clips merge. To find the exact spot, you can hold Shift, and your mouse will snap to the join between the two clips. So right here, I'll use my razor blade, and I'll cut that audio clip and delete the second part. So we have some music for the beginning of our clip. Now it's time to choose some music for the end of our clip. So I have 4 horror score background music files here. And that's because each song has a different kind of element to it, and there might be some pieces that I'll use. So I'll double click on the first one. I kind of like this impact sound peak here. I'll put my blue playhead here and push I, then I'll push space and stop and hit O. So I've set my in and out points, and I'll bring that down to the track. Now let's zoom in. And I'll move this back up to the end of this happy song. And I'll push play again. Now I like how that contrasts the happy music, but what I'm thinking is I'd like it to go black here between the beetle and the couple putting up the tent. So I'm going to move this a little bit like that, and let's see how that gap looks. I think that gives the music a little bit more of an impact, having nothing visual on screen, so you're only focusing on the audio. So I like that. So I may repeat that through the rest of these clips. I'll leave some gaps in between them to allow the music to have a little bit more impact. Now we have our sound effect here. It's time to put some more score behind the background. I'll double click on Horror Score 2 and I'll have a listen. I kind of like this zone in here. So don't feel limited to use just one track for your edit. You can use pieces from multiple audio tracks. I'll put my in point here. And out point there. And I'll drag this down. And now you'll notice if I put it all in the same audio track, I'm restricted. I have to put this clip right out here because this clip is here. But if you click and drag, you can bring a clip underneath. And this is where you have audio 1, 2, and 3. You can have multiple audio tracks. So now when I push play, you should hear this one play and then this one come in. Okay, that sounds really good. Now I'd like to put a clip in here before the sniper comes in. I'd like to put a clip of the couple kind of playing around at their tent. And I'll bring just the video down. So what I'd like to do is I'd like this to go black after they're having fun here at their tent, and then put in a gun reloading sound. So let's push play. Like that. Okay, so I'd like to put in the gun loading sound effect here. I'll go back to my files over here and I have a sound effects folder. I'll change this to list view and I have a gun load sound effect. Let's double click that and I'll push play. That's a classic sound effect file. We can bring that whole thing down. And again, instead of putting it on the same track, I want freedom of movement. So I'm going to put this down on a third track. And you can see that with the video edit, you have your clips here, and you can have your clips staggering down like this. And no matter where the blue playhead is, it will play everything that's passing underneath this blue line. So that works good for timing of the load, but the music kind of stops all of a sudden. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put in a little bit of a build up just before it goes to black. I'm going to go back to my music folder. And I'll click on Horror Score 2, and there should be a build-up moment about here. I like that little bit there. So I'll put my in, play, and out. So I'll drag this down, and this time I'll put this on this track here with this main backing. So I'm going to push play and see how this sounds. It comes in a little bit loud above my gun loading. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to slide this out to the side and then use my red bracket to bring it back left. And I'll see if I can find a kind of quieter spot for it. That's a bit better. The build-up isn't as sharp there. So now I'm going to cut my audio to line up with the end of the sniper shot here. I'll use my razor blade and click on the clip, and then I can use my selection tool to select it and hit delete. So let's listen again. I'd like to move my sniper shot in just a little bit sooner. you can see that you can do a lot of little fiddling here with the timing between your clips and audio. So these two audio files here, they're pretty similar to each other, but say you had two audio files that weren't, there would be a sudden jump cut between both of the audio files that could be a bit obvious to your listeners. So we want to smooth that join out. And the way to do that is to go over to this double arrow button and choose Effects. And if you don't have the Effects tab here, go up to your window and choose Effects. And this window here has multiple effects, which will be audio and video, and we're going to look for cross dissolve. So type in cross in the text field here, and it filters all of these folders out. You can see that we have a cross dissolve for video transitions, and then we have crossfades in audio transitions, constant gain, power, and exponential fade. The one we're going to use is constant power. So click and hold and drag this over, and you'll notice when you put it between two clips, you'll get a pink overlay, and this shows it's going to be applied between these two clips. Release the mouse, and you see the transition there. I'll undo that. If there's a slight gap between your two clips, you'll notice that the transition won't apply to both of them. It will only apply to one of them. So if for some reason your transition isn't applying to both, it just means that the gap between your clips is too large. So you can zoom in, bring your clips together, and zoom back out. So I'll apply this transition, and now when I push play, there's no discernible difference between these two clips. So I'd like to cut this audio to be right at the end where the sniper shot finishes. I can just drag this back and it'll snap to there. And I'd like to add in a little kind of outward sound effect there. So to go back to my folders, you can click this double arrow button here and choose Project. I'll go back to Music. So if I go back to Horror Score 2, this moment here, there's that little double beep. And I really like that as an outward sound effect. So I'm going to zoom in, place my marker here, hit I, place my marker here and hit O, double check. I can probably even go here. Now I can drag this audio down, and here's my outro sound effect. So I notice that it's about here. I'll drag my clip in a little bit more, and now I can bring this back and put this right at the end of the sniper clip. Let's have a listen. I like that, but I think I'd like it to happen while the sniper is on the shot. So I'll drag this back, and you'll notice as you drag it back, it will actually erase the clip underneath it. So if at any point that accidentally happens, make sure to use your undo shortcut or undo in the menu. But I'm going to move mine back here. Let's try there, and I'll play that. I like that. I like how it impacts in the middle of the shot. So the other way to use a transition, instead of between two here, you can apply a fade out on your audio. And that's the same way as what we did before. Click the double arrow button, go to Effects, make sure you have cross typed in your text field, and you can either use constant power or exponential fade. Drag this down to the end of your clip, and you'll notice that you get a pink overlay on the end. And what this is doing is this is creating a downward volume on this track here. Let's push play. And you can hear it fade out. So that sounds really good, and I'll add in my gunshot over this black here without any video. I'll click my double arrow to go back to Project, go to my sound effects, and we have a gunshot. I'll set my in and out points for that, and then drag the audio down and place this over here. I'll have a listen to the timing. I'll have a listen to the timing. It's probably a little bit too late. Now I don't want to cover up this sound effect here, so always use another audio track. And I'd like it to happen just when the sniper shot closes. That works really good. And now I'm going to fill this out a little bit. I've got some birds fly away sound effect. So this is where you can use sound effects to really fill out the background and realism of your trailer. So I'll drag the birds down, and this time I'll drag below, and you'll see that there's no audio track here, but if I release my mouse, one will be created. So the gunshot there, let's see how this sounds. And that worked perfectly. The gunshot goes off and it sounds like the birds are flying away. I'm going to shorten this clip here to about there. It's a good time to save. So now that my film is pretty much done with the editing of the shots, I'd like to add in some end titles here. And for Premiere, the way to do titles is to go up to the Graphics tab, and over on the right here you can see that you have multiple titles to choose from. So the one we're going to use for this exercise is just the basic title. And just like dragging a clip to your timeline, click and hold and drag the title over and put it down here. So you also have multiple video tracks to choose from. If you wanted to put your title, say, above this clip of the sniper, you can move it across and you can have your title appear above the footage of the sniper. So you're always free to use these multiple video tracks, video 1, 2, and 3. For now, I'm going to put this down on track video 1. And to change your title, just click on the title once and bring your mouse up to the top here, and you can double click and you can highlight your text. So I'm going to change this to be Happy. The name of my movie is going to be Happy Campers, and that's my font there, but I'd like to change that. So you can click and drag to highlight your font and go down over here to the modifiers and choose a font that you like instead. So I think I'm going to use the phosphate font and I'm going to choose solid. Have a nice kind of boldness to it. And now to change the size, you can again highlight it and drag your size up here. So I'll make mine about that big. If you wanted to change the color, you can click on fill, and then this box here allows you to change the saturation, and this one here allows you to change the hue or the color. So if I wanted to be a light purple, I select the purple and then move my saturation down here and click OK, and my font's changed. But I'm going to keep this white, so I'll click this, change it to white and hit OK. And if at any point you want to change the stroke, you can add in a stroke, and a stroke is just a border on the text. So you can add that in, put in a red border. It's really faint and small there. That's just because the stroke size is really small. So you can click and hold and drag this up and down to make the stroke bigger. Or you can actually click once and type in there, say 20, and hit return. So you can change it that way. But I'm going to have no stroke on my text. So there we have happy, and my next word is going to be campus. And you can put your cursor at the end here and hit return, and then start to type in. And because I have two text lines, I can highlight all of them, and you'll be able to change to be centered, or to the left, or to the right. I'll keep mine centered. And then you're wanting to change the spacing between your words here, and that's this button here, the spacing between these two A's. And you can click and hold and slide this left and right, and if you do that, you'll be able to get a visual guide of where they are. Let's go about there. That looks good. You can also change the spacing of your letters using this modifier. Click and hold, drag that left and right, and you can see that you can make it wider or closer. I'm going to make mine about there. I like that. And just to reset everything and save my changes, I'm going to click my arrow tool here, and you can see that we've got Happy Campus there. If you want to change the position of your text within this video frame here, you can just make sure your blue playhead is over your video file, and using your arrow selection tool, just click and drag, and you can move your text around to different spots. So say you want it to be on the bottom left like that. I'll undo that. And if that's not working, just double click on your title, and now go up to this box, click your double arrows and choose Effect Controls. And if Effect Controls isn't showing up, go up to Window and choose Effect Controls. And now what happens is when you double click a video file here and open Effect Controls, these modifiers are now the modifiers that apply to this clip. So make sure that when you're making changes here, you definitely have double clicked the file that you're wanting to change. So to change the position of my title, you have these three numbers here: scale, which will make it larger and smaller; position, this first one moves it left and right, and the next one moves it up and down like that. If you want to do it manually, there's this little box here, click that once, and you'll notice you get this blue bounding box, and you can move your title around like that. So I'm happy with that title. I'm going to move this out to the side here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the end of the video and see where I'd like my title to appear. So I'll return it back here to the sniper and push play, and then I'm going to listen for the timing after the gunshot. Okay, so I think about there is where I'd like it to appear. So I'll move my campus title to be there. And I don't want this to appear suddenly. I like this to fade in. So I'm going to apply a video transition to this. So I'll go over to my Effects tab, type in cross, and I'll look for the video transitions, dissolve, cross dissolve. I'll click and hold and drag that over and place that at the beginning of my title clip. So you can apply transitions onto your title clips just like any other video clip. Now when I push play, it fades in. Now if you wanted to delay a fade in, the way to do that is to place your marker above your fade in, zoom in, and then using your selection tool, move your mouse just to the end of the transition and you'll notice that you get a red bracket. And just like extending the front and the end of a clip, you can click and hold and extend the transition to be longer or shorter. So if I make it shorter, it fades in really quick. And of course longer, it'll fade in slower. I think I like the slower one. So we'll keep that. Now to add a little something more to my end title, I'm going to add in a clip underneath. If I go back to my project window, and I change my layout to be editing on the editing tab up the top, it returns to my original layout. So I'll go to my footage. So the shot that I'm looking for is ink drops. And this was done just with a piece of paper and some red ink dripped down onto it. So I'd like about there. That's good. I'll put my out point and take it back to the beginning and put in an in point. And now I'll drag this down, and because I just want the video, I'll click and hold the drag video only button, drag it down to my timeline, and you'll notice that it's stacked above the Happy Campers title. But if I push play, you can see that you can't see the title, and that's because the ink drops is actually above the title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move Happy Campers, put that above it, and now you should be able to see both of them. But you can see that the ink drops is a little bit too bright for my white text. I like to keep my white text. So let's apply a filter onto this ink drops footage. To do that, click on your double arrow and choose Effects. And what we're going to look for in here is Invert. You see that we have Invert for audio, but what we're looking for is Invert for video effects. So click and drag that and apply that onto your ink drops. And you'll notice that it inverts the footage. So this is how you can get a negative effect for any clip that you have in video format. Still a little bit too bright for my white text. So what I'd like to do is take down the brightness of this video file. To do that, double click on ink drops and click on Effect Controls. And now we're modifying this ink drops clip. What you're looking for is the opacity tab. It's currently set at 100%. Click and hold and drag that to the left. And I'll take it to about 50%. And you can see now that the white text stands out more. So I'll take this back and play that. And I like how that looks. You'll notice that ink drops appear suddenly and Happy Campers fades in. So let's add a fade in back on ink drops. I like how that looks. So I'm going to fade out both of my title and my ink drops by dragging this cross dissolve to the end of both of the clips. And that works really well. So now we've got our end titles there, and we need to add in some music on the background. So let's go back to our project and go to our music. And let's find something here. Let's add in the happy uplifting sound. So this is going to be an opposite feeling. So it's a terrible horror movie, but at the end we're going to put in some happy-go-lucky music. Let's go to the end here. I kind of like this part here. So let's set my in point and play it for a few seconds. About there, push O for out, and then we'll drag the audio down and place it down here. And now I'd like it to line up with the beginning of the title, so I'll move my audio up and place it there. And you notice that I have space here. It's overlaying these sound effects of the gunshot and the bird wings, but it should sound fine. Let's have a listen. that works really well. So the thing that I'm noticing is that this music is a little bit too loud. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the volume of this music track here just on its own. And the way to do that is you want to be able to see more detail in this file here. To do that, just like sliding your spaces between your windows, you can also do that between these tracks. So if you notice the mouse, when I move it between these tracks here, it turns into two horizontal lines. Click and hold and drag that down, and you can see that your waveform has more detail. You can always return it up by clicking and dragging and returning it back. So let's give ourselves a little bit more room. And you can see here that there's a small white line here between these two tracks. If I click and hold, I can drag it up or down, and you can see that the decibel rating, which is kind of like volume, is changing. So if I push play and I slide that as it's playing, you'll listen to the volume go down. So this is the way you can do it on each individual clip and change the volume. So if you have a sound effect that's too loud or a piece of music that's too quiet, you can adjust it by bringing the volume up or taking the volume down. So the thing that I'm looking to master here is what we call our audio meter over on the right side. So when I play the music, watch the audio meter and notice that it goes up to the red top. So what that means is when you're hitting the red, you're running the risk of distortion happening. And that's a breakdown of your audio, and it also will be really loud for whoever listens to the video production. So I'm looking to take this down, and the spot that you're looking to get to is about the -12 between -6 zone, so around here. So as I play it, I'm going to slide this down until I notice my audio meter is hitting here at the maximum. And you can see that yellow lines we're hitting about here. So we've adjusted the audio here to be in that correct spot. -12 and -6, that's the zone you're looking for. So we have our music there. I'd like to find the ending of the song. So let's have a listen to this. So this moment here, that's the final note. So I'm going to place my marker right there. You can even zoom in further to find the exact moment. And you can use your arrow keys to go left and right, frame by frame. About there will work. I'll push I for in, and then I'll play it, and push O for out. So what I have here is a precise moment for the end note of the song. I'll drag this down. And now this is where a little bit of audio editing comes in. I'd like to place this end note in a spot during this first piece that I've made so that it sounds natural and as if I haven't made a cut. So what you're looking to do is to count along with the music, find the beat, and press the spacebar at a moment where you think you might be able to put this end note. So I'll be counting along as it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll probably put it on 6. So what I'll do is I'll move this over the top and place it there. And I'll delete this little end part. And now I'll listen back and see if it sounds natural. That's pretty close. It sounds like there's a little bit of extra sound here. You can see this peak here. So I'll slide it back just a little bit more, and I'll have a listen to that. And that sounds good. The timing seems to match. So we'll keep that there. If you want to make the smoothing even better, you can go in and add an audio transition. Cross, and we'll choose constant power. And if I put that there, but I'll shorten down my transition a little bit. So now this will smooth the difference between these two audio moments. That sounds much better. Let's add a fade out to the end of this here. And one thing to match as well is we want to change the volume of this down to match the volume of that first clip that we edited. So now the volume will be the same, and we'll check it one more time. And that works well. So that shows you that even though you have a full song, you're able to cut out pieces, say like one verse or a chorus or one bar, move an ending and bring it into a different spot in the song, and basically cut up and reassemble a song any way you like. It's fiddly, but it can work really well. Sometimes when you bring some footage into Premiere, it will look like this, and it will have black borders on the outside. What that means is that this clip here is actually smaller than the sequence size. It's filmed at a different resolution to what you're editing at. But there's no worry with that, that's easy to change. What you want to do is select the clip and double click, and then go up to your top left and choose Effect Controls. So now we're modifying this clip here. You'll notice here that you have Scale, Position, and Motion. Scale is what we're looking to change. Click and hold and drag that left or right, and you can see that it changes the scale. You can also click on the blue text and manually type in a number to find the precise number you'd like. I'll keep this at 100. Another thing that may happen with your footage is it might have been filmed in portrait mode, so it might be vertical like this. In the same way, double click on your clip, go up to Effect Controls, and this time you're looking for Rotation. You can click and hold and move this left and right. But I do recommend manually typing in, and this makes sure that you get your precise rotation moments. So click on this and I'll set this to 0. And now you'll notice that it's a bit smaller, so I need to change the scale, and let's try 100. You'll notice that there's a little black border on the bottom and on the right side. So that means our video is about the right size, but it's not in the correct center spot. So you can click and hold and slide these numbers left and right to get your video to be in center. About there. So it's some fine tuning to change the scale and the position on the X and Y axis to get your footage to fit your sequence. Another thing you can do with your footage is called color correcting. To do this, click once on a clip, go up to your top tabs and click color. Your interface will change and you'll notice that you have a lot of sliders and options over here. So the first thing we're going to change is this temperature slider here. You see that we have blue and orange on the side. So what this stands for is cool and warm. So depending on when you filmed, if you filmed in the afternoon and there wasn't much sun, your footage may have a bit more blue to it. Or if you filmed in the midday and there was a lot of sun, you might have a lot more orange to it, giving it a warmer look. So make sure your clip is selected, and then slide the slider to the left, and you'll notice that our footage starts to cool down. You can see that our footage now has a sort of cold feel to it, and it feels like the air in this footage, and it feels like the air in this scene, if you were really there, would be wintry and cold. If I move this back up to the right, now it feels like it's a warm summer afternoon. So this is a big thing you can change in your footage to give a different effect. So what you can do is you can make this shot look like it's nighttime by sliding down your temperature, making it colder here, and then you can take down the exposure, which will take down the brightness of the clip. And now it looks like it's kind of a full moon night. If I play that back, it looks a lot different. There's multiple sliders here. Contrast will bring up the contrast in your clip, making the whites and the blacks a bit further apart from each other, and you can soften your footage by bringing it down to the left. You can also change your highlights and make them brighter, or dull them down, and you'll notice in the sky there that the cloud disappears when I'm up to the top, and when I bring it back down, the cloud appears there. So you may need to balance your footage a little bit. Shadows will make the dark areas of your clip become brighter or darker. The whites will bring up the whites or tone them down, and the same for the blacks. That will bring up the blacks and tone them down and give you a lot of contrast. Another slider here is the saturation. If I take this all the way left, it will make our footage black and white, and if I bring it up to the right, you'll notice that it saturates the color a lot. So depending on your footage, you may need to adjust some of these sliders. Adjust the black and whites and shadows, or maybe bump up the color or tone it down a little bit. If at any moment when you're making these changes, you'd like to see what the footage looked like before, there's a tick button here in terms of basic correction. Click that and it will show you the footage before you made the changes. And if at any point you lose these sliders, that's just because you've clicked on basic correction the text. All of these tabs are clickable and they have their own drop downs. So let's edit one more, the sniper here. For this sniper shot, I'd like to warm this up. It's a little bit green. So we have the temperature slider. I'll add a little bit more orange. And then you also have your tint slider, which will add green or a little bit of magenta. And so you can see as I slide this to the right, it brings a little bit more red to most of the picture. I'll turn my basic correction on and off, and you can see the difference there. So just that slight change of these two sliders here has made a big difference to the clip. Now if you have multiple clips that you want to apply the same filter changes on, so if you have multiple clips that you want to apply the same color changes to, but you don't want to have to go in and manually remember each number, what you can do is highlight your clip, right click, choose copy, and then navigate to the next clip. We'll try this one here with a couple walking. Select the clip, right click on it, and choose Paste Attributes. You'll get a pop-up window here, and what this is saying is it's wanting to paste all of the attributes that were on our sniper clip, and that could include the motion, which is the size and the scale of the clip, how faded it is, any time remapping, and what we're looking for is we're just going to tick the effects Lumetri color, which is the color changes we made to the sniper video clip. If any of these are automatically ticked, make sure to untick and only leave ticked the filter that you'd like to apply onto this new clip. So I'm only leaving ticked the Lumetri color filter. If I click OK, you'll notice the clip will change as the color filter is applied. Select the clip, and now I can go up to basic correction and turn it on and off. So you can see that the slider that we changed for the sniper clip has now been applied to this clip, and we have the changes there. If you select multiple clips by clicking and dragging, you can also right-click, paste attributes, select the attributes you'd like to copy and paste over, and click OK. And when you do, it'll be applied to all of the clips here. If at any point you paste some filters and attributes to a clip and you want to undo it, but you aren't able to use Edit Undo, what you can do is double-click on the clip, go up to your double arrow, choose Effect Controls, and you'll notice that all of the effects are here. These little drop-down arrows next to each FX icon, you can click and it will close up all of the effect drop-downs. And you'll notice that Lumetri color is here. This is the attribute that we just pasted from our sniper clip onto this clip of the couple walking. So say we've pasted that in, but we want to delete that. All you do is click once to highlight the effect, and then click delete on your keyboard, and it will delete the effect. So that's a way to remove an attribute or effect on a clip if, say, you've accidentally copy and pasted the Lumetri color effects twice on one clip and it's compounding the effects. I'd like to show you how music can change the effect of your video depending on what song you have. So right now we have this optimistic, kind of beautiful piano score. It gives a nice feeling to it. But I'm going to go back to my project and choose some music that's a little bit scarier. So I've grabbed this audio file from another horror song, and I'll place this down on a track down here. I'll adjust my audio track here so they're not as tall, and I'll place this music and move it down a little bit further and make its own track here. So because I have two audio music tracks here, when the blue playhead goes over, it will play both at the same time, which of course won't be good. So you have some buttons here to mute and solo these audio tracks. If I click mute, this track here is now muted. You can mute multiple tracks at the same time, and this way you can isolate tracks that you only want to hear. You can also hit the solo button, and what that means is if you hit solo, only this track will come through on the audio channels when you play back. So this is a way you can test out your music and sound effects and see how they work together. So now I have the original music track, which is happier, and then I have a scarier music track here. So I'm going to use the mute button, and I'll mute the scarier one, and we'll listen to the original. Okay, now I want to see what the new song sounds like. I'll unmute it, mute the original song, and now rewind. So you can see that it's the same footage, but the song is different and it gives a total different effect to the footage that we had edited. So that's something to keep in mind. Choose different music tracks and see what will give the best feel for the goal of your video. You don't have to delete all of your audio. If you want to keep it there and potentially use it later, just click the mute button and now this track will be muted. So I'm going to keep my original audio music file there, so I'll delete the second one. The final thing to do is to add a fade into my first shot. And a fade into the song. So I'm satisfied with my completed edited trailer, and it's time to export this as a final movie file. If you need to move your clips around in your timeline, click and drag to select all of the clips, and move them all the way to the left, as far as they'll go. And then when you move your blue playhead, you'll notice that you're at all zeros and you're at the beginning of your clip. Bring it back to the start, and we're going to push our I key. And you'll notice that you get this gray zone up here. So just like when we set in and out points up here, we're going to set an in and out point here to export from. Now move your blue playhead to be at the end of your video, you can zoom in and make sure that it goes past your last clip just a little bit, and then push O for out, and you've set your in and out point. So now we're ready to export. Because I've set an in and out point, these clips when I was using to show the color changing, these won't be included in the final render. Premiere will only render what's between the in and out points. So if you do a render and you get random clips like this in your video with long spaces of black, that just means you didn't set an in and out, and Premiere is thinking you're wanting to render this whole sequence. So with our in and out point set, we're going to click File, Export, and Media. Here's the export screen in Premiere. The first thing you want to do is change the file name of your video. So we'll call this Happy Campers Trailer 1. The next thing is we're going to choose the location. So click the blue text here, and I'll go into the video assets folder, and I'm going to click the new folder here and type in Final Videos. I'll change the file name, Happy Campers Trailer 1, and I'll click Save. And we want to choose the format of our video. Here's a drop down here with multiple different formats. So you can actually export to AIFF for audio or MP3. We're going to stick with H.264, which is a very good video codec to make your videos look really nice. Click this video drop down here, and this will show you the resolution of your final video. You can turn this on or off to change it yourself, hitting the drop down. We're going to leave this as matching the source. So that's going to match the original video files we had. This More button here, if you click that, and if you scroll down further, you can see the bitrate settings. This is basically how many megabytes per second you're letting Premiere spend to make your video look good. The higher the number, the higher the quality, but also the higher the file size. You can see over here, 196 megabytes. You can go down lower, be really small with 2 megabytes, but your video won't look very good. So megabytes per second is how many megabytes Premiere can spend per second to make your video look nice. There's a few settings here: constant bitrate, variable bitrate, and variable bitrate with 2 pass. I recommend use variable bitrate 1 pass for now. We're going to set this to be 10 megabytes a second. Now you want to double check the range of your export. There's entire source. This will export your entire sequence. So this will ignore any in and out points that you put in, and it will render the entire source. So this might accidentally render out some blank space in between some clips that you had at the end past your edit. So be careful when choosing entire source. We're going to choose source in and out. So that's going to render the in and out space that we've set on our sequence. You can also adjust this blue playhead here to see that your sequence is going to render correctly. So you can see that our clips are showing up perfectly and everything looks good. And when we've done that, you can hit the export button, and Premiere will start exporting your video here. Depending on the length of your video, it may take a long time, 20 minutes, half an hour, or multiple hours. So sometimes you may need to leave this overnight to export. And when it's done, it will close the export window. So let's go check how that looked. I'll go to Final Videos, and we'll test our video. So that's working. You can scrub through the video, and you can pause at certain moments and have a look at the detail and the quality of your video. Because we exported at 10 megabytes a second, the detail is really high. So let's do one more export and I'll show you the difference. File, Export, Media. So all we'll do for this one is I'll change the file name to be Happy Campers Trailer 2. And we're going to go to our bitrate settings, and we're going to change this to be 0.5. Really small, and you see down here that our estimated file size is going to be 4 megabytes. So the file will be a lot smaller and hopefully lower quality to show you. Hit the export button. That's completed, so I'll go back to my folder and I'll open up both of these to show you the comparison. So we have the same shot. This is our original here, and this is our second one. You can see that it's a lot blurrier, and that basically means there's less detail. So this is what happens when you change the megabytes a second. You can see that the footage is a lot blurrier on this footage on the right. There's a lot more pixelation, and there's less detail overall. But why this is helpful is, say you're wanting to send somebody a rough edit of the video. This video is 40 megabytes, whereas this video is under 4 megabytes. So you'd be able to email this one to somebody really quickly and easily, as opposed to this one. and they could use this just as a guide to get the feel of the speed and the cuts and the music in the clip. If you're wanting to do a test and see how that rendering detail will look, you don't have to render your whole film. What you can do is just choose one clip, press your out button, so now you have an in and out that's only this one shot here. If you now export this shot, I'll change this to 10 and click export. If I go to my final videos, you'll see that I have just the driving shot. So that's a quick way you can do a test just to render a small segment of your film to see how the quality will look in your final video. And you may need to change your megabytes per second in the target bitrate to adjust that. So Premiere works in a way where it doesn't actually have the footage, music or sound effects within the Premiere file. So if you took this file and put it on another computer, when you opened it, it wouldn't actually have your media associated with it. So that's why when you're working in Premiere, keep all of your files together in a single folder. If you move, say, your footage to another location, this footage is now not in the video assets folder, and if I open up my Premiere file, you'll notice that it comes up with an error, missing media for these clips. So all of these clips are in this footage folder that I moved. And this is what it'll look like when you open it up. It'll say media offline. So that's why it's important to keep your footage and files in the same location that you began with, and I recommend keeping it in one single master folder.